Do you try to stick with a particular palette of colors, or do you just pick what you like?
Like I mean, for my Twitter stuff, I tend to try and stick to like similar uh colors and just like bright stuff because that's sort of my style. So I like doing bright, fun colors. So a lot of the book is like that. Like this is a panel from the book. The Lazy Nezumi panel is not in the book.
Unfortunately.
That was from my screenshot. Um, so like I like doing fun, bright colors, but there's also like others. Like I'll find an example. Um, like in a book, you can't do 100 pages of like the same exact lighting, right? So, um,
This is where he pulls out that Wallace section. Don't let me down.
I'm sorry, but it's an even better section. It's like
Oh, it's true. My goat Pierre.
like it's a different color palette. It's a lot more warm. It's a dimly lit like bar. Um, but then like if I'm doing something different, something a little weird, like I might like I'll just do an example here. Like if we're starting with like or like this like background color, it's like dark and red. So like for something like this, like the skin, and this is just the normal skin color that I would use for like a brightly lit piece like this, and then I would try and like bring it down to match with the background color. So it would end up being something like this, and this would become the local color. And then I would just everything else would become relative to that. So then when I do her hair, I know that her hair is dark brown. So then it just all becomes relative. Um, so like maybe something like this. I know that this is blue, so then that would become something like this maybe. Colors are very relative. So when you're coming up with a palette like this, you kind of just play with stuff and see what feels right. And I know since red is the base color, I can really saturate it. So something like that. Same thing for like the gold for the earrings or ear piercing, something like this. And then for white, it's all relative. Like I said, I just pick one color and make everything else relative. So this is like pure white, which is what I normally use for the eyes and teeth and stuff. Oops. You can see it looks really, really out of place for this color palette. So what I do is I just use that as a selection, and then I go in here and I know I need to brighten it up, and then I just find some color that starts to work or starts to look okay. So something maybe like this. There you go. So see, instead of like pure white, like this, by trying to use relative colors, we end up with this, which obviously is pretty far from pure white. But it looks white because of relative color theory. Usually for like extreme palettes like this, where there's a lot of something going on, I'll try and do a blending layer instead of picking colors, because I think that blending modes work better on more extreme non-local color like this. Like since this background is red, you can go with just like a red shadow. So you can go with something like this, turn it to linear burn. And there you go. You got a good shadow color here. You can also play around with different stuff. You can make it like different, like really saturated, make it like blue. A lot of stuff you can do. I'll do the same thing with the highlights. So like I'll take a white and do like this sort of thing. And so like something like that. And this, by the way, is just my whole method for everything that I do. Like putting down something that obviously doesn't work just for a selection. So like now I take this white, and it's not going to be like white, so I pick a different color, and I want to make some kind of lighting. So I'll make like a color like this, and then I'll turn it to color dodge.
Oh, shoot.
And then this is pretty good. Like actually already. So you start to get something like this. So you can see some scenarios where this lighting would work. You also can, and like I said, with blending modes, it lets you get weird with it. So I can make it like a red lighting behind her. Like this is kind of funky, kind of weird. I'm sure there's a use for this. And then the great thing about a comic is once you have this, you can just keep using it. So like the next time that I like next panel on the page, I know that like this is her skin color, this is the hair color, this is the shirt color, etc., etc. Like, you know, earrings, bracelet, and you can just color pick and like that. So I have like this whole folder that of like every page in the book that's just the flat colors on the pages without any of like the gradients or the shading or anything like that. And so this is how I would color like a certain scene from a book. And like I said, you can do that without any and like and so like it looks natural compared to this backdrop here, right? Like this red thing. But if you turn that off and like just look at the difference between the actual like what I did normally versus this, it's a lot. But when you turn it on, it looks normal. It looks like she fits in this scene. So that's a quick lesson on the power of relative colors.